During second grade, when I was around 8 years old, I started having these obsessive, compulsive thoughts running through my mind that I'd never experienced before up to that point. I would make up these scenarios in my mind, like if, for example, I didn't step on the kitchen rug in a fast enough time before the microwave alarm went off on the kitchen microwave, I would lose my legs, because that was one of my biggest fears at the time, was losing a limb and having to get a prosthetic for it. At around 9 years old, the super nostalgic side of my personality took over my mind, which therefore took over my emotions. And that led me to experience my first encounter to what I would deem to be depression to this day at just 9 years old. I was always the quiet kid in class who didn't share too many of the same interests with his peers, because I was in my own mind a lot of the time, exacerbated by my emotions, ADHD, and most likely OCD, which I haven't gotten a proper diagnosis for yet. I continued to go on while these thoughts continued to spiral around in my own mind. I felt weird for them. I felt separate from other people because of them. I put on a more sort of joke-like persona in order to ease the, at times, harsh reality in my own mind. I didn't take many things seriously to lighten up everything that was going on around here. I could hardly socialize properly, and that led me to feel unconfident around new people. I was always so caught up in my own thoughts. I would sometimes sort of pace around for hours just thinking, and I wasn't really sure why this was. But as I got older, I learned the more I pushed myself, the more I tried to become better than yesterday, the more I learned to seek new growth, the less that chatter in my mind had control over me. Now fast forward to the end of high school for myself, or the summer of 2024, and that's when I started spiraling back into my own mind again, in a new negative form that I hadn't had much experience with, if at all, before. I was working a job that heightened my levels of anxiety and dread through the roof, and I wasn't taking enough disciplined action throughout the day. Turning the nozzle to cold only after a warm shower, only working out literally about twice a week, and just stressing and worrying all the time about what was to come for my future. I would sit in my room for hours spiraling in my head, and it would get to the point where I would want to do absolutely nothing for that day. I experienced a certain type of mental instability that I hadn't experienced in a long time. Not the same as when I was 17 and I fell way off my grind after being damn near anorexic. It was different. It wasn't like the binge eating that I was doing or anything like that was super self-destructive, but it was sort of just the complacency and just sort of accepting your fate without any hope of any alternative route. I had no purpose anymore. Back in high school, my purpose was running, and I found a lot of fulfillment in getting good grades as well, but I didn't have that anymore. I didn't have much going on for me outside of work, because why did it matter? Work should be your main priority and focus anyway, right? That was my frame of mind at the time. I didn't realize the important role striving off of personal interest-fueled endeavors was for me until I almost completely lost sight of that, started prioritizing this blue-collar trades job over everything else, and fell off. Why would I want to strive off doing something if it's something I hate doing and it's working towards someone else's dreams? No wonder my negative thought patterns returned. No wonder my mental health took a complete 360, and I thought something was wrong with me. My mind has been my worst enemy, but also in a way my best friend throughout the years. It has pushed me to my lowest points, which have put me in places that were very difficult to get out of. But by pushing me into a lot of those places, it has also allowed me the opportunity to rise back up 100 times stronger from them and truly become the best version of myself that I can possibly be at any given time. Because through spiraling and almost losing myself, as well as all the psychological issues I was having beforehand, I've sort of developed and refined the ability to not only find ways to help myself through these things, but also the ability to know the power behind having strong purpose and what that can do for you. Currently, I'm trying to embrace that purpose to the best of my ability. And in order to do so, I must find ways to overcome some of the obstacles that are currently in my way. I'm currently trying to completely overcome a 10-year FAP addiction, which I've made a lot of progress with. I'm currently trying to clean up my diet a little bit since I kind of fell off a little after Easter. And I feel like since I'm trying to really dial in on bettering these things, I felt this lack of dopamine in my brain, this sort of void. And so I've been looking at my phone a little more, which is therefore wasting time. These are all things that I've had my ups and downs with for years. I've made a lot of progress in terms of my phone addiction over the last 6 months, but in turn, I turned to that longer going addiction more so to fill that void, that lack of dopamine in my brain. In order to truly become the best version of myself, in order to create as much distance between myself and those negative thought patterns, I need to be improving every aspect of myself. That means taking accountability for every addiction or every bad habit that I engage in and trying to work past it. Your mind will try to tell you to give into the quick dopamine because it temporarily soothes you. It puts you in a heightened state of relaxation, at least for a little while. But overall, in turn, you just feel worse, you're less productive, and you're continuing to feed into those negative thought patterns, making it harder and harder to escape. Right, so I hope this video helped you today, my friend. Obviously, I'm far from perfect, just like the rest of us. ADHD makes that both easier and harder, but I'm always striving towards becoming at least 1% better each and every day. And I think that's what we should all be doing for ourselves. Stay grounded, my G.